so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take about a minute and a half to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm sincerely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. So if you've been looking for a way to easily get organic superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, like I was doing before I found Purium, I highly recommend going to positivehead.com/transformation and checking out the videos and interviews there where I dive deeply into discussions explaining why I take these products every day. And should you ultimately end up on iShopPurium.com to purchase any of their 50 plus amazing superfood products, be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. So grateful to be back with you all as always. Actually took a few days off. We had the interview episode yesterday, but Monday and Tuesday of this week, we took off for the holidays. I wasn't really planning to, but as the show sort of unfolds, I just go with the flow with what's happening. And there was some little bit of turbulence with editing. Dalien, who edits and releases the episodes, was dealing with some personal things down in Chile where he lives and some upheaval, and it made it a little trickier for him to edit. And, it was hitting right on the holiday, right on Christmas and the day before. And so I just went with the flow on it, and we didn't release episodes on those days. Probably some of you are looking for them. I was thinking of you. I was sending you amazing vibes, love over the holidays. And, the thing about the holidays, they really can be challenging for a lot of people. And a lot of things come up. For me, it feels like a portal is opened, where it's like, okay, there's a lot of love, energy, and open-heartedness and cheer and goodwill and all those things. But there's also the other side of that, and that is people feeling isolated or down or sad, or they're not really in tune with the holidays, so it only brings up more shines a light on certain things, not having the family connection that they'd like or things like that. And that can be really tricky. I've always had family around at the holidays, and blessed to say so. And, but my heart more and more goes out for those who aren't having those sorts of experiences. And that was, part of what Dalien actually was going through, along with, some other things and moving and things like that. So it's why it sort of affected, the release of the show. So I feel like it's something really important to address and to take a look at and to understand, how do we get through this? How do we not continue the same patterns and, so forth? And I actually, Dalien, being very courageous and brave and vulnerable, is going to come on the show next week and talk a little bit about it. And I've been wanting to have him on forever. He's originally the co-host in the early days. And for those of you who've been around that long or listen back to the archives, he's amazing, just such a beautiful, amazing soul. And he's agreed that next week he'll come on and we'll talk a little bit about it. But I wanted to just address it because I know there's others out there who have been going through a trying time over the holidays, and just really take a look at how can we put it into perspective that is serving you as opposed to holding you back. What I may do is read some from Journey of Souls today, kind of depending how this flows. It's a book by Michael Newton. It's a case study of life between lives and gives us perspective onto the other side. And I feel like it's relevant. So kind of depending how I flow here with what comes up for me as I'm sort of freestyling into the microphone this fine day. If I have time, I may start reading from that. If not, we'll do it another time, because one of the stories that I have queued up gives the long view of how, we're really working out these issues of, in some cases, like even one of the stories that I would read from, talks about isolation being a theme that a lot of people work out over a long period of time, over lifetimes. So you can be caught in, that sort of cycle in this life, and you're just, only seeing it from the view of your current life, but really it's a recurring pattern for you that you've played out over lifetimes, so that you can actually move through it. And part of my conversation to Dalien was, it was like a culmination of things that hit all at once. Electricity out in his place because of circumstances that unfolded out of his control, and then moving, and then family not being there, and him really wanting to share time with family. And it sort of brought up all these old things for him. And what my advice to him is, when you have these recurring pains that come up, and that, first off, feeling the pain fully, not shoving it down, not resisting it. A lot of times people will confuse, positive thinking. Don't look at what hurts, don't, and actually that's not it. To me, positive thinking is actually understanding from the highest perspective, even the things that hurt are serving you. They're there for you. The universe, higher self, God, whatever you want to call it, wants to experience that pain through you, wants to process it through you. And when you can start to understand, okay, I'm in this place, this, whatever the holidays we're using as an example here is triggering this pain in myself. I'm angry and lashing and fighting against it and sad, and instead of just having that perspective on it, you can still feel sad and maybe angry and maybe hurt and all those things, but bringing the observer perspective, but that's happening, sure, but now I'm adding the layer of understanding to it that it's happening for me. This is something that I'm so brave and bold and such a I have so much love in my being. I signed up to process this energy, not only for myself, but for the collective, for mankind, right? Because whatever you're processing within yourself, you're processing for the collective. And you signed up to do that because you are such a bold, brave, love-filled, incredible soul. And if you can start appreciating yourself for that, it doesn't mean running from it when it comes up. It means actually looking at it, actually being with it, allowing it to, with deep breathing, allowing these feelings to process through you, and then moving into a state of appreciation that you are willing to actually experience such incredibly difficult circumstances and painful circumstances. What's happened with most people up to this point in their journey is they've they've sort of hated or disliked the pain, right? But we all know, especially those of you out there with tattoos, or, that's the first example that comes to mind. I don't have any tattoos, but I hear people who have them talk about, it's like a good pain, right? And people can relate to that in all kinds of scenarios, right? Where it's like, that kind of hurts good, right? Well, there's some of that going on with the pain that you have in your life, right? And if you can say, okay, it's happening, but instead of me disliking what's being processed through me, what wants to be moved through me, not blocked and held and, dammed up, but actually moved through me. If you can look at it and say, it's not easy, but I'm bringing love to it. I'm bringing love to this pain. I'm bringing love to this process. I'm actually going to use this as an opportunity to dance in the rain. Right? I'm going to actually, instead of the years of this same cycle coming up because I haven't fully processed, I've resisted it and disliked it or hated it or, resented it, right? I'm going to try a different approach. I'm going to try wrapping my arms around it, loving it fully, completely, and accepting that I'm such a badass. I actually signed up to be the one who processes this chunk of energy, this blockage for myself and for mankind. And that is bringing a perspective to it that is so powerful and liberating. I mean, think of the beauty of, the person who's hit hard times and all is, lost. And then they get up and they lift themselves up by their bootstraps. They go out and it's pouring rain and they dance in the rain. They sing in the rain. They bring love where there is so much reason not to. They find a reason to see the beauty in it, the joy in it, the love in it. The power of that scenario. Any of you out there who have had this sort of scenario where you haven't lifted yourself up by the bootstraps, haven't decided to, sing and laugh in the rain and celebrate the contrast, the shadow that is cast on your life, right? What name a piece of art that you've ever seen that doesn't have shadow in it? It doesn't exist. Think of a painting. How much shadow? I'm looking at artwork right now. Lots of artwork in front of me on the studio wall here. Very beautiful, visionary, psychedelic artwork. And there's so much shadow cast in it to make that beauty. That's your life. You are an artist. Your soul is living out its living artwork through you. And it wants to happen through you. And we've been so busy resisting so much of it at times. We've been so busy fighting against the pain, the separation, all of the things that we struggle with, that people struggle with to different varying degrees. My conversation with Dalien, and I'm sure we'll talk about it next week, was, dude, you are such a badass. Like you are so worthy of the love that you're not giving to yourself. And we're so easily willing to beat up on ourselves. I saw a quote the other day by my good friend Sydney Campos, who was on the show a while back. And she said, the thing you're most scared of anyone to know about you is the thing we're all waiting to love you for. And that goes for yourself as well, right? It's time to move into a state of loving all of these parts of ourselves, loving the shadow part of ourselves, finding our way through it, not being scared to reach out and be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm really hurting or need help. It's a great place, the Positive Heads Facebook group, for that, by the way. Where you can get support, or people in your life, or, finding something to just tune into and adjust your vibration. You've got all these tools and resources. There's so much help waiting at arm's distance for any and every one of you who are struggling. And most importantly is being that for yourself. And you're not always, sometimes you just feel broken and weak and you're not really able to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. And that's okay too. Loving yourself there. It's like loving yourself wherever you are. All this judgment and idea about where you should be or shouldn't be and comparing yourself to others. And, it's a joke. It really is. You are a completely unique emanation of source on your own unique trajectory. And comparing yourself to anyone else, it never makes any sense at all. You're on your own time frame. You're on your own schedule, on your own path. And if you can get into that state where you're loving yourself wherever you are, man, that is such a game changer. So I know some of you hearing this are thinking, wow, I've never thought to love all these ugly parts of myself. And the thing, what you have judged, by the way, as ugly, they're not actually ugly. The shadow is beautiful. It's as beautiful as the bright, shiny spots, right? And necessary as necessary as the bright, shiny spots. This contrast is everything. It is everything, and so important. And now that you're really starting to understand that and get that and ground that into your perspective, now the next time the shadow parts come up, you're going to feel them. It doesn't mean they're not going to sting. It doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. It doesn't mean your heart's not going to ache. Some of you have been through things I can't even imagine. And what I say to you is, wow, you are such a brave soul. You chose those experiences, and you can also choose to love your way through them and accept them and know that everything happened for you, not to you, and that your mess can become your message. What you went through is going to empower you to help others who have gone through it or are going through it or have yet to go through it. And they're going to be so lost and hurt and just wandering blindly in the dark. And perhaps they then bump into you who can show them the way out. And that's by wrapping your arms around whatever arises and loving that. Whatever arises, love that. As Matt Kahn, my former guest on the show, said, I love that so much. And I love you all so much. And I believe going into Journey of Souls today, this particular chapter might be in story of the intermediate soul might be a little bit too long to go down. It's a little bit longer than the last one we did, so I think I'll hold off on it for now. But coming soon, and like I said, what's beautiful about it gives you the perspective of the long view of your soul. Right? A lot of times it feels like, my whole life has been this cycle of this same thing, and I'm so sick of it, and I want it to change. And it's like, meanwhile, from the soul's vantage point, this is one lifetime of many lifetimes where you're refining these things. So it's like learning patience, the ultimate virtue, right? Being patient with yourself, being patient. All you remember is your incarnation up to this point in this physical lifetime, perhaps, but really that's a blip in the unfolding saga, the story that is your journey. And so if you can be patient with yourself and you can just start to love yourself exactly where you are, dance when the lights are cut out, dance in the dark, dance in the rain, not realizing you are your own twin flame. You are your own soulmate. That's a big one that's been really, really sinking in for me lately, and I think a lot of others, and I want it to really sink in with each of you. The person that the soulmate, the twin flame that you wanted, the happily ever after that you've dreamed of. Everyone dreams of this ideal partnership, I believe, but that partnership is actually with you. And it doesn't mean it can't come in the form of another, right, that's reflecting you, but instead of how many people have approached it, I need to complete myself, find my other half, right? No, actually, you're in the process of becoming the whole, falling completely madly in love with yourself and the art, the work of art that is your life. And then perhaps you'll bump up another who is at that same place vibrationally, which is why you attracted them into your world. And now you can celebrate together, not because you need to fill some hole or void and complete your other half, but because you're choosing to celebrate and journey together for whatever time that may transpire. But it will have a shelf life, right? Even if it's the rest of this life, right? But the person, the soul, the twin flame, the one that you will always be with is you. And that is the ultimate love affair this whole thing is about. It's reflecting back. Source, higher self, the one is all alone. Ultimately, it's playing the game of others, right? Humans in different forms, etc. But the consciousness that animates my form is the consciousness that animates your form. And so what we're learning on a small scale is the same lesson that as above, so below, they say it's all just mirrors and reflections. So we're just learning the same lesson that God, the collective, has had to learn. Ultimately, it is alone, and it is a love story with itself. And there's something really, really beautiful and romantic about that. If you really feel into it, like you're the one you've been waiting for, and you start moving into that, including the shadow that makes up the art that is your existence, you're really on the path now to leveling up and calling in new experiences instead of repeating the same cycles over and over and over again. With that being said, I have a new track to leave you guys with today. This one is by Volo. I'm not sure if I say Volo or Volo. Hopefully he will hear this, write me, and correct me on the pronunciation. Nonetheless, the music is magical. This is a new one called Sun Drops that he actually sent to me, and he said, I just wanted to keep you updated with my new releases. I just put out my last official release of the year, Sun Drops. For me, this track represents the childlike, carefree headspace of not taking life too seriously and enjoying the flow of things. Hopefully, this will bring some light into a dark time of the year for many people. Indeed, it's full of light, as are you, as am I, and I'm so appreciative to continue on this journey of self-growth, self-realization. Till next time, journey well. Love you all so, so much. Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to let you all know that we have finally created the Game with the Universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time by doing this manually. But now, if you go to positivehead.com/YO Universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to engage and invite friends, family, people on social media to check out the podcast as well. So be sure to check out positivehead.com/YOUNIVERSE, and be sure to tell all your friends so they can play a game with the universe, which also helps the show to reach new people, which I greatly appreciate. And as a quick reminder, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them every day. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and grandest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I can't stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so, and I'm sincerely excited to share it with all of you. Lastly, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.